Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining me on the 7th episode of the Deguess Podcast. My guest for today, his name is Yorick, also known as Poolz. And the song that you just heard before this intro is called Yes, We're Looking at the Same Star, made by Poolz. So Yorick, I can't pronounce that name right. I could never get that name right. But thank you
man.
so much for joining me today.
No problem. It's really cool to talk a bit about the music.
Yeah, man, it's going to be a cool one today. You're a little bit different than most everybody else that I've interviewed up to this point. But before we get into why I think you have kind of an interesting, I guess, thing going on for you, I want to talk about your musical background. So what is your background in music, instruments, performance, production, all that good stuff, and anything engineering? Where did it start?
Yeah, I think it started obviously with listening to music, and I've always felt a connection with certain songs. And when I entered the high school, I was about 12, 13 years, and there was this guy in class, and he had some tutorials on YouTube where he learned to play like famous pop songs, and I thought it was really cool. So I started to do the same. And I had a virtual online keyboard on the internet.
Right.
And I tend to look the songs I liked, and I started to play them with tutorials on my laptop. And then when it was my birthday and I became 13, I asked my parents to get a keyboard. And they said you can only have a keyboard if you also start keyboard or piano lessons. So that was the moment I started to take piano lessons. And I think from there on it just developed. Like I always wanted more, and I wanted to explore more in the music. So first it was just playing piano, then it was DJing, then it was listening to music, and then I even wanted to get further more in the music. And now I'm studying music and technology, where I specialize in composition and sound design.
Right. So that's where I think it's a little bit interesting. I just want to talk about, well, first of all, let's talk about Poolz. How long have you been doing Poolz for?
I think I've been doing Poolz for around 6-7 years right now.
Right.
I first started with DJing at school and parties in Holland, dubstep mostly. And from the dubstep I discovered the more melodic, chill out kind of music. I remember the first one, like obviously it was from Black Milk, it was called Rain.
Right.
And actually before that I also heard from MT Eden Sierra Leone. And that one really captured my thoughts, my soul. Like I don't know how to explain, but I was so hooked, and I started to listen to it for like every day for a year through. And then I found Blackmail, and I found out like there's a different side of dubstep that I really like, and that's how I discovered the chill step.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at your SoundCloud right now. You really did start from 6 years ago. You have some that are 5 years ago. Unfortunately, I wasn't actually able to really go listen to some of your older stuff. I saw that you have a remix of Days to Come with Seven Lions, or from Seven Lions. Yeah, and then a HXaY one, World of Peace.
Yeah.
But now, how many years later, were you into sound design when you were doing Poolz back then, or was it just you just wanted to make music?
I just wanted to make music, and I started to make music to express myself. And I always thought that would be the main reason to be involved in the music scene.
Right.
And then when I finished high school, I had to find a new study or something to do. And throughout the years of DJing with the dubstep and making friends, I discovered the guy who was studying on the HXaY in Utrecht in Holland. And he studied music technology. And I was like, damn, that's something that would be fine for me, you know?
Yeah.
So then I went to the site, I went to the school to see what it was all about, and then I applied myself to the school.
Cool. And so for school, going into music technology, so your main focus really is going to be sound design. I'm curious to know what that is mostly about, or what you're studying mostly, going into sound design instead of just regular
Yeah.
production.
Yeah, like in school, the first year we have, it's all about exploring into music, and you get to do all sort of things like programming with music, writing music for choirs, like everything you can imagine. We had to like sniff a bit of the top of the iceberg. I don't know the expression, but I think you understand.
Yeah.
And then throughout the years, you have to develop yourself and specialize yourself into two subjects. And I choose sound design and composition.
Okay.
The thing that really keeps me interested is how sound, like music for composition and sounds for compositions for sound design, can trigger certain emotions in people's mind and body. Like the same chair, a chair with the same sound in a horror movie can sound, or um, can feel so different in a romantic comedy movie. You know, like
Absolutely. And
it's greatly how that's, yeah.
yeah, because I mean, you're talking about taking the same sound and having it
Yeah.
in a different place. Like, sure, that same
Yeah.
chair could, if it's in the context of a horror movie, it gives you a different feeling than if it's in the same setting as the
Yeah, exactly.
as a romantic comedy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I completely understand that. Do you work with what software, I guess, do you work with in sound design, or do you work with software much at all?
Yeah, with software, like the standard in sound design is Pro Tools, and we have lessons in school in Pro Tools, and everything is settled in Pro Tools.
Yeah.
Next year, my internship in all the studios, they work with Pro Tools. Although I'm not the biggest fan of Pro Tools,
Mm-hmm.
so if I
I
can,
hate Pro Tools. Well, I don't hate it, but I don't like
Yeah.
it for producing either.
No, for producing mostly it's like pretty bad, but
Yeah.
for recording stuff, like it's really focused on the post production work.
Yeah, like mixing is
And-
good on Pro Tools.
Yeah, I love it, and it's more like that. When I have to use it, I use it, but I also tend to move the work to Logic or to Fruity Loops.
Yeah. I
So
would do the same.
Yeah, yeah. I heard it from a lot of people from my school and everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Right now they're working on a new software program. It's called DaVinci Resolve. I thought
the
have you
guys
heard
that
of
make
it?
Pro Tools?
no, not from the guys of Pro Tools, but new guys.
Oh, okay.
I haven't seen anything about the developers actually.
And
But they are creating a new software. It's called DaVinci Resolve, and the benefit of that is that you can work on audio and on a movie edit at the same time. So very easily. So you could work in one project with the whole crew.
but it's pretty
Uh,
good and easy to do that in Pro Tools too, right? If it's just audio.
If it's just audio, yes, but still, that there's a lot of there always occur like problems, and you need like an HD version, which costs a lot of money, and DaVinci Resolve is free.
Oh,
So
okay.
I feel like it's more likely to use DaVinci Resolve. It's possible to do that audio-wise in Pro Tools as well. I
Right.
feel like it will be more.
And Pro Tools is
uh,
like what? I think here in the US it's $600 for just the HD version, and if you go to the step above, I think it's 5,000.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah,
expensive.
so that's
yeah.
pretty
It's
steep.
insane.
Yeah.
And you also have to get new updates and buy new updates and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. What are the things I guess you apply in your sound design into Poolz, or do you take a lot of what you learn into your production that you release under Poolz?
Yeah, quite a lot. As for example, for a documentary, I had to go to an island up in the north of Holland. It's called Schiermonnikoog,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a national nature park from Holland. It's an island, and you can visit. You can go to the beach, and we were doing a documentary there where I recorded some field recordings to add later in the documentary, and yeah, I use those field recordings also for my music, or I record some Foley in the sand, or with a creek, or with trees, you know, like that kind of stuff. I use it actually quite a lot in my own work.
Right. Okay. So it's a lot of because I noticed that your sound design or your your aesthetic is a little bit different than I guess most other artists that I've
Mm.
heard. It's a lot of ambience. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot of nature sounds. I know that it exists in other producers' work,
Mm-hmm.
but yours is particularly it comes out a lot more,
Mm.
which is
That's good to hear.
which is more it's more relaxing in certain ways,
Mm.
to kick back and listen to some of the stuff that you make, because of that. And but that was a lot of it from, or that's just how you like your music. I'm just guessing.
Yeah, I think so. I
Yeah.
really loved the ambience and the vibe. Like this last semester in school for composition, I made a sound installation
Yeah.
where I play music for like 30 minutes with the same synthesized sounds and sound design uh, textures. And behind the textures, I would change the vibe and the ambience of throughout the day. So I would start with morning birds and soft wind, and in the end there will be thunder and big rain.
Okay.
And while the music was playing throughout the day, I had a beamer, and there was a white circle going across the a white paper, and people could actually draw the white circle in the on the paper. And what I wanted to discover is if people would feel certain ambient vibes or colors. Um, how do I say this? Like, depending on the ambience or the sphere behind the texture that keeps repeating.
Okay.
So, am I
Nice.
making myself clear? Or
It's a little bit. I'm trying to imagine it in my head.
like you could see just an empty room,
Right.
and on at the front of the class there was a white board
Right.
where people could draw with different colors. And on the board there was a white circle going across the board, so they know where to draw. And so I knew where they were in the composition.
Okay. Okay.
And during that process, there was a composition playing of sound design texture, and behind that, a household of ambient sounds that varied from heavy rain, thunder to the morning birds and the sweet, cute
Right.
wind.
So it has to like
Just yeah.
visualize, or it has to deal with visualizing these different sounds. Is what's going on with that board.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
to see if people would feel uh, the same vibe or the same. They would feel the same emotions by the music.
That's a really. Ooh, that's a. Not often do I. Actually, I don't think I've ever done that before. I don't think it's
Oh,
something that's
nice.
often done. I've never heard of that actually. I hear
Hmm.
people talking about visualizing sounds, but not in the way that you described it. Though I think it's a really cool way to do that. I have to try it out myself because I still don't. I'm trying to see it in my head. It's still 100. It's still not 100% completely there, right?
Yeah, I
Um,
can imagine.
yeah,
It's also hard to explain for
yeah.
me.
Well, that's fine,
Like
man.
the
Yeah,
inspiration came from an article I read
yeah.
like really like 5 years ago, and I'm not sure if it's a hoax, yes or no, or it was true. But I read that
Right.
uh,
Okay.
the
That's
the signature, the how do you say it? The looks of the molecules, like the way they will be floating around in the air, would vary from place if there would be played sad music or happy music. Like they would vary from like position
yeah.
and that kind of stuff. And I wanted to kind of discover that in the way I can.
That's really that's a very strange, but that's a cool
Yeah.
process. I had no clue how that goes down.
Probably it's a
Yeah.
hoax, the article, but yeah, it was just. I just wanted to see.
Nice. Aside from sound design, do you? So one thing that I like to talk about really is is how producers get into the technical stuff of like mixing and whatnot. Actually, Yorick, what I'm gonna do
Mhm.
here,
Okay.
I just want to have like I'm gonna give you an instrument or a sound or whatever, and then you respond to me with a quick answer. So like if I say piano, I want you to tell me what piano you like using. If I tell you synth, I want you to tell me what synth you like using. So stuff
Okay.
like that.
Cool.
So I'm going to also get into sounds for you too, because I think you might have quite a bit for like ambient sounds and whatnot. So
Okay, cool.
first of all, piano.
Schimmel.
What is it called?
It's Schimmel. It's the piano I have at home. I got it from my granddad.
Oh,
when
so
he
like
passed
it's an
away.
acoustic piano.
Yeah. Or you mean electronic? Then I would say una corda.
It does okay. The una
I never
corda is a
used it,
beautiful piano.
But, yeah.
It doesn't matter either way. I was just curious. But an una corda, I could only want to see the real thing at some point. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm actually gonna see News Fram in a few days live.
You got to see one?
No, News Fram. I will see him in a few days live, actually.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Nice.
He's one of the makers of the una corda piano.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, the una corda was actually brilliant. I watched a video on it. I can't remember who was behind it, but that's awesome that you get to see one of them. Stringed instruments.
String instrument. The contact libraries, I would say.
Contact. Okay, nice.
But to be honest, I don't really use string instruments a lot.
Right. Just want to know what your preferences are for that. Let's see. Do you use woodwind and brass instruments much at all?
Not that often.
No. Okay.
I used a shakubuchi flute.
Oh, okay.
I love that one. I have one library on Contact that I really like about it.
Okay, so the one that you mentioned is a Contact library.
Yeah.
Okay. How about drums?
I would say Foley.
Foley.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your favorite Foleys then. Do you have any go-to samples for Foley? Like what kind of nature sounds do you go to?
I think I've created about 3 sample packs myself.
Yeah.
That I use for Foley.
What do you use yeah.
But other than that, I mostly have a few cymatics packs I really enjoy.
Yeah.
But mostly with Foley, I don't really have a specific sample pack or a specific go-to guy I go to. I usually just find as much as garbage I can find, and I try to do something with it that makes it interesting.
And what do you record your samples with?
I have a Tascam DR40. With
awesome.
it, I have 2 Omni mics that are self-made by a friend of mine.
Right, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. I have... Right now, I'm recording with the Audio Technica P49. AT2020.
Got it.
P48, and that's a condenser mic. I have a Rode NT1A, which is also a condenser microphone.
Okay.
And I have a few dynamic mics, which I mostly use for loud sound sources.
What are you using to record this podcast?
It's the Audio Technica, actually.
Okay. And also, going back to the Tascam, that one's a portable one. Like you can bring it around with you, right?
Yeah, I bring it in the field, and with that I also bring my 2 Omni mics, which I plug in the bottom.
Yeah.
So then I have 2 Omni mics, and if I want, I can also use the mics from the Tascam as well, of course.
Are you able to change the recording pattern on your Omni mics?
Oh, no, they're Omni mics, and
Okay, so it's just fixed.
Yeah, it's fixed.
Okay, cool.
And they're also matched to each
ahead.
other, so I wouldn't want to fool around with that, you know.
I want to talk a little bit about the your mixing plugins. So, you know a little bit about audio processing and whatnot, like reverbs, delays, EQs, whatnot. So I'm gonna go ahead and ask you just a couple of go-tos. What's your go-to reverb?
My go-to reverb is I use the Fruity reverb a lot, and I really like it because you can really create an own dimension and own room.
Mm-hmm.
But for the more advanced stuff, I really like Altiverb, which we have at school.
Okay. Let's see. What's your go-to delay?
It's the Fruity Delay Bank I use a lot.
Okay. What is your go-to EQ?
Fab Filter Pro.
Fab filter. Okay. Cool. So not a stock one this time.
No.
Um,
Although for my own music, I'm used the Fruity EQ2 a lot actually.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, but Fab Filter is a great plugin
Yeah.
company.
Yeah,
Last
exactly.
one. Yeah. My last one is compression.
Compression.
Yeah.
That varies a lot. It depends on what I want to reach as sound. Like at school, we have a lot of very nice compressions that have an own character,
Mm-hmm.
an own uniqueness, and it varies to
And you're
the
using
result I want to the different.
yeah.
Yeah.
At school, are you using hardware compressors?
No, we don't.
Okay.
We don't.
Okay.
No.
I was just wondering if when you talked about having nice compressors, thought you were talking about having really
Will be very
like actual
cool.
hardware.
Yeah, no, we don't have that at school though.
Okay.
For my own
Uh,
music, I actually use a lot of the Fruity Limiter as well to compress.
Oh yeah. Okay, cool. God, everybody that I've talked to, well, not everybody, but for the most part, I think everyone after Unoya has been using FL Studio. FL.
Nice. Yeah.
Everybody. Yep. Most everybody. Yep. Everybody's been using FL. I'm the only Logic user. Still gotta. Well, I mean, I know you use Logic too, but you're mainly living
Yeah,
in FL.
exactly.
Yeah. Yorick,
Yeah,
any? Yeah.
I feel like Fruit Loops is the most, like the first one everybody finds out, and everybody hears about.
Right.
And
And
so
it's just
they
easy to
use
use.
it. Hmm?
Yeah. I said it's just easy to use.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else, Yorick? Do you want to... Are there any new releases that you have coming up, or anything going on that you think might be interesting to talk about, or...
I'm right now working on a drum and bass track together with a student from my school. She has a really great voice, and CMA is also working on the drum and bass track.
Okay.
So it will be a kind of trio-way collab. I'm really looking forward to that one. And for myself, I have like 8 songs I have to finish. I think 4 of them are lo-fi songs. But I
That's
think
crazy.
I'll
Yeah.
gather them around for a EP.
Yeah.
I'm still not too sure about that. And I have a few ambient songs I really am looking forward to work more on and to finish, actually.
Okay. Cool.
I tried some new recording techniques with the Omni mics, and I
Mhm.
found some really nice ways to record the piano. So I most likely use some new techniques to try to expand the interest in the piano.
Oh man, that would be awesome. I'm interested in talking about microphone recording techniques, so I think we'll talk about that another time.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
But for everybody listening right now, for how many of you that are out there listening to the podcast, go ahead and be on the lookout for Poolz' new drum and bass track with his friend from school and CMA, because that's going to be a cool one. I'm looking forward to that one a lot.
Nice. Thank you,
Yeah.
man, for having me.
Yeah.
It was a
Awesome. Well,
pleasure.
I think I'm going to go ahead and I think we'll continue or talk at some other time. Definitely want to talk about the recording technique you have for piano and
Nice.
whatnot. But for this general one, I think we're going to end it here.
Nice, man. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for joining, man.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this podcast, guys. It really means a lot. If you enjoyed this, please share this with anybody who you think would find this interesting. If you want anybody else to be on this podcast, let me know in the comments or send me an email, however you can get in touch with me, and I will see if I can get in touch with that person as well. Anyway, thank you for listening. Take care, and we'll talk to you in the next one.